Hey guys, this is Big John from Alaska. I live here in Anchorage, Alaska. I am currently on the carnivore diet, and I'm here today to talk about how the carnivore diet has tremendously benefited me, especially with my sleep. Now, sleep is incredibly important, and many of us, when we become morbidly obese, and it wasn't long ago, I was 435 pounds. I'm now down to approximately 303 pounds. I'm kind of hanging out in that 10 or 15 pound range for now. So if anybody's here checking in on my weight loss journey, that's right around where I've been hanging out for the last 2 weeks, is right around 300 pounds. There is a fast that I'm getting ready to try to do next week, and it's a fast that was recommended by another fellow carnivore in the community, and we're going to give that a shot and see how that one works, because I like to do a lot of weird different types of fasting, especially now that I learned how to fast. But today we're going to talk about like all these CPAPs I got here. I mean, when I started getting into my entire CPAP journey, I had a lot of different types of CPAPs. I mean, because I was a cash paying customer. So I didn't have the insurance to just get me a random CPAP or even try to figure out the whole dirty details of how to use them, what types of masks to use, what mask works best for what. So everything I did was an experiment. I mean, this was one of the very first CPAPs I had. Horrible, horrible CPAP, in my opinion. It doesn't work very well. This is an old 60 series Philips, and this is a BiPAP, by the way. Not exactly the best machine when you have severe sleep apnea, but at the time I didn't know which machine was going to be best. And there was also the Philips recall going on, because inside of these machines was some really nasty foam. I have taken all of my machines apart, and I also have a Dream Station, I believe Dream Station 1. And this was one that I actually took apart myself, and I changed the turbine chamber because it had that nasty same foam that this one has, the one that's been known to be causing cancer and stuff like that around the world. Huge problem with Philips Respironics. I mean, it just sucks. So, I mean, these are right now are seriously just my backup units. I only use these in case of an emergency. This one here, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't even really consider this a backup unit because it's just that piss poor. So we're going to hide that one off in the corner for now. But then, so I tried using the BiPAP for a while, and the BiPAP just didn't work for me because my sleep apnea was just so bad. I mean, I was having central AIs, which is where my brain was not telling my lungs to actually breathe. And throughout the daytime, I was wide awake. I'd be right here, and I'd be, I wouldn't be able to breathe. It was that severe. My total apnea for my first sleep study, I believe they said it was around 96 events, and I think that's like 96 events per hour. For my AHI, it was pretty dramatic. It was crazy. I was waking up in the middle of the night. Every 45 minutes I had to go to the bathroom. It was horrible, and at that time, I was incredibly morbidly obese. I didn't know exactly what was going on, because I was eating all these nasty foods. I was eating a lot of pizza, a lot of carbs, a lot of sugars. I wasn't taking care of myself. Like I said, I was 435 pounds, and since I lost the weight, with fasting and with carnivore, everything has dramatically improved. I'm to the point now where I literally don't need a CPAP if I don't want to use it. Now I can use it. Just because it does help me sleep a little bit, because I've been using it for the past 2 years, and I kind of enjoy it. This Dream Station here, not a super huge fan of this, by the way. Let's see, Pete Pan helps. Okay, hey there, Donna. I appreciate you jumping in. Yeah, today we're talking about my sleep apnea experience and how carnivore has dramatically improved. I mean, without carnivore, I don't think I would be off of CPAP. Now I can totally sleep without a CPAP now. My AHI index is down to like 7.3 events per night, and the average, so that puts me in a mild category. And this thing here is just more trash from Philips Respironics. I wish they would just get out of the game altogether, because the new ones that they're producing aren't much better. And so this is basically what I ended up with, ResMed AirSense 10. And so far, this has been amazing. This is an amazing product. It's totally changed the way I sleep at night. compared to any of these Philips devices, because these Philips devices have a lousy algorithm, especially if you have like central AI events where your brain says, sorry about your luck, you're not going to breathe for a few seconds, but we might pick it up. So it's been found in a lot of scientific studies with this particular machine that it'll try to catch the event, and then sometimes it won't catch the next 3 events, and then it just makes a really horrible night's sleep for the patient. So yeah, these are not the best products. This one here kind of saved the day. This one started improving everything dramatically fast for me. As soon as I started using the product, it took me approximately 2 to 3 weeks to get used to it, because all 3 of these products are a little bit different, and they all have slightly different algorithms, and some pick up your sleep apneas, your central AI events, your hypopneas at a little different pace. And this one here covered just about everything I needed. Now, there are new versions of this. The AirSense 11, I believe, is out. Luna's putting out a really awesome CPAP. If you don't know about Luna, check out that brand. And the prices vary. But since I started all of this, the prices on all of these CPAP units have come down dramatically. I believe you can actually purchase this one right now on cpapsupplies.com for about $399, right around there. But when I started, all of these machines were up in the range of about $1,200, especially for using insurance. And insurance just gouges the heck out of you. I mean, I'm sorry if you're having to go through insurance, because a lot of people have to, and then they're victims of refurbished products like this. And yeah, this is the refurbished one. You can tell because it's got the stamp on the bottom, little red stamp. So when they sent me this one, I automatically tore it down. And I got a video about that on my channel if anybody cares to, see what's going on inside that. They changed the foam from the black nasty foam, and they put white foam in the turbine chamber. And I still believe, that's like a high schooler's mistake, in my opinion, because there shouldn't be any foam besides the filter. And I think the filter, that's the SD card on that side, but the filter should be the only thing right here in line with the patient in the airway. But these geniuses, the guys that get paid a whole lot of money to build these devices, they put foam in the turbine chamber. So even this new foam, if it becomes dislodged, it'll go straight into your lungs while you're sleeping. I don't like that idea. But somebody came up with a blank chamber. You can order that on Amazon for next to nothing, and $30 and a little bit of tinkering, you can totally change that out. But the only problem I found with changing out the turbine chamber that has no foam in it is it does change the algorithm in the machine. So it's not going to auto start and do a couple other things as quick as it should. It's not going to catch up like it should. So just taking out the foam isn't exactly the best idea. And I believe that's why Philips went back to putting some sort of foam in the pathway for the patient. But it's still a big mistake. They replaced the foam in many of their respiratory devices for those people that require constant respiration at night. The Trilogy 100 and Trilogy 200 ventilator systems, in fact, they replaced the foam in those, but the new white foam was actually becoming dislodged and getting in the patient's, blocking the patient's airway. So it was kind of like inside the machine, but it was just blocking the ability for the patient to breathe. I don't know if anybody died from that, but I think the last time I checked the recall for Philips Respironics, there was like 234 fatalities linked to their debacle with their nasty death foam. That's what a lot of us have been calling it, death foam. But yeah, the ResMed has definitely saved the day for me. I totally love this device. It's super easy to set up if you're a patient that pays cash. There's plenty of information online, to get into the settings and learn how to set up your own settings. And the person that taught me how to set up these settings was a guy named Nick from CPAP Reviews. Now, when I was going through all this, I was literally by myself. I had access to a sleep clinic, but I was severely overweight. I was incredibly hormonal. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't talk with these doctors. I couldn't talk with the nurses. I couldn't talk to any of the staff very well. My communication skills were flat zero. I would get upset at the drop of a dime about everything, because after all, I was only getting 45 minutes of decent sleep every single night. And then I started down the path of actually figuring out how to lose weight. And then since I got on the carnivore diet, which reduced all of the overall inflammation in my body. And by the way, when you're eating inflammatory products, like seed oils, just crazy products from the center aisles of the store, the stuff that they've been talking to us about for years, saying, hey, you should probably avoid that stuff because it's overly processed. It's not very healthy for you. But that creates inflammation in the lungs as well. It creates inflammation in the head and the brain, all over the body. It's horrible. It's horrible, dangerous stuff. I mean, when you break it all down and start looking deeper into it, and when you look at your family members and you see what's going on with them, and a lot of it's because, here in America, the USA, we consume about 60% of our daily calories are coming from overly processed foods, and that's staggering. That's a huge number, by the way. I couldn't believe that number when I heard it the first time. I was like, wow, that's way up there. And that's food that's not even really considered food. I mean, it's not whole food. So when I started the carnivore diet, I was starting to recognize these things because I was eliminating the processed foods out of my diet. I was just getting everything away, getting all the sugars, all the carbs, everything out for a period of time. And then I was slowly starting to put stuff back in. But the further I go along with the carnivore diet, I'm kind of enjoying it because I'm not always losing weight on the carnivore diet, but I'm losing inches. Everything's getting toned up. My big fat skull is really small now compared to what it was. Also, when I first started on CPAP therapy, this was one of my favorite masks. I don't know if anybody recognizes this. This is I believe it's a ResMed product. It's called the Mirage Quattro. And the reason I like this mask is because my face was so inflamed and so swollen that it just fit. It fit right on. The only thing I didn't like about this mask was these silly clips right here. So when you're fumbling around in the night trying to put your mask on or something, these can fall off and you have to turn the light on or try to figure out the Jenga process while the lights are off to put this back together, because that's the most frustrating part about this mask. But it's got a nice little adjustment right here. So when you put the mask on to get it fitted, you have this thing, I believe it's like all the way out. Then you kind of fit the straps on, and then you tighten this down, and then it'll snug right up against your face. So it worked really well for a person like me that was severely morbidly obese. So this was definitely one of my favorite masks. It also has a different type of seal around here, compared to these right here. This is my mask that I'm using now, but this is more of a silicone seal. And sometimes the silicone affects your skin and can create breakouts and stuff like that. So we got to clean these seals like daily. But this one here is more of a harder type plastic, and it actually it doesn't really affect you very much, especially when you're eating junk food and your skin is just constantly, pushing out all the garbage. This doesn't seem to affect and create pimples near as bad as the silicone. So I think that's a lot of the problems CPAP patients are having, when they're using other ResMed products that have all this silicone around. So yeah, that's just some interesting food for thought. But I have a CPAP mask literally for everything. If you're new to CPAP therapy, always come home with two different types of masks. You're going to want to have a full face mask in case you catch a cold. COVID's still a thing, so we got to watch out for that. But if you're coughing and sneezing throughout the night, you're going to want to have a full face mask. And if you're new to CPAP, I'm sorry, it's going to take some time to get used to coughing and sneezing while you have a CPAP on your face. It's extremely hard. And then, because this is like the next level up, one of these here, just a basic nasal cushion. These are fantastic, by the way. If you can sleep with your mouth closed, using a nasal mask will definitely give you a better night's sleep overall compared to a full face mask. Because if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not really getting the same oxygen you would normally get if you were breathing, with a nasal mask. And your nose is a great natural humidifier, so it kind of regulates things. Like I said, I got a CPAP mask for like everything. This is another nasal mask that I got, and I don't know if I purchased this one or this one was donated to me, but it was just an experiment. This doesn't work for me because I'm Alaskan Native. I have naturally oily skin, and there's so much silicone cushion here. Like, not all CPAP masks are going to work for everybody, and that's a problem. And it also becomes a problem when you start losing weight, because when you're morbidly obese, your facial structure is just all puffed out and it's totally different. So as you start losing the weight, your favorite CPAP mask might be your worst enemy, within 3 to 4 months of weight loss. But yeah, this had too much silicone, and they tried to use this as a selling point, how this cushion does this, but there's just so much silicone here. It just kind of slides all over the place. And if you turn at all in the middle of the night, this thing just whoop, right off the side of your face. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, since I started with the carnivore diet, and the carnivore diet eliminates all the inflammatory seed oils and just nasty food products and stuff like that, I don't have to worry about how I sleep as much anymore, because my neck is a lot smaller. My airways are cleared up and really nice. Let's see who is in there. Let's see. Why do you guys come in here? Game Connection. I got all kinds of fun people in here today. All right. That's all part of the fun, guys. All right. Let's see what I can do with this. Game Connection. Message retracted. Hi, kitty. Yeah, my kitties are here. They get all excited for doing this stuff. And we're going to do that. And there we go. You ever poop outside? No, I don't actually. I usually poop inside. Now it depends. If I was up driving the haul road, yeah, I would poop outside quite often. That's a thing here in Alaska. We don't have rest areas every 25 feet, so you can't just pull over at a convenience store and just take a dookie wherever. But yeah, anyway. So this week, as far as my weight loss is going, everything has basically just stayed the same. So I'm hitting like a 2 to 3 week plateau as far as my weight loss. I'm okay with that. So I'm still hanging out around 300 pounds. We ran out of beef, so we're going to have to get some more of that. Let's see. Have you ever had to kill a Kodiak bear that got close to you or your loved ones? Nope, I have not. For starters, Kodiak bears are down in Kodiak. We live in Anchorage, so we don't have to really worry about a Kodiak bear. I want to try a CPAP. I wake up stuffed up nose, clogged, and breathing through my mouth. Yeah, so a CPAP could definitely, help out a lot of the situations. Now, something I did learn is that if you snore at night, that is actually sleep apnea. I mean, that's a form of sleep apnea. That's the beginning stages of getting closer to severe sleep apnea. So if you already snore every single night, you're restricting the flow of air that gets into your lungs, and it's kind of like breathing through a straw. So if you should actually get sick or something like that, it's going to be a lot harder to get a good night's rest. And my cats are being bossy today. Everybody likes the kitties, but so far, even right now, my sleep apnea is incredibly mild, and I can make it through a full night with no CPAP at all. I still like to use it just because it's almost like a security blanket, because my sleep apnea was so severe. I couldn't imagine not using it right now, because it just seems to work. It seems to help me get through the night. Let's see. I do. I recorded myself and I snore. Well, if you have the means available, I would recommend trying to get a sleep study, and it's not fun. Sleep studies aren't the most fun experience. Do not go for the at-home little devices they try to send you home with, and they, you just hook yourself up to maybe some basic probes. That's not a great sleep study. It's not something I would trust, in my opinion. And typically the ones that do the at-home sleep studies, they're just looking to sell products. So let's try to avoid those. You want to go to an actual medical clinic, and you're going to have to do an overnight sleep study. And don't plan on getting any good night's sleep when you're doing the sleep study. Some people do amazing, but very few people get any rest at all. Even on my best sleep study, I mean, it was still, you're in an awkward situation similar to a hotel room that you're just not used to. You got cameras on you. I mean, granted, the lights are dim, everything's kind of relaxed, but still, for the first time experience, it's rather scary for most people going into a sleep clinic. That's kind of weird. Gamer, yeah, I mean, but if you have sleep apnea, I would recommend definitely try to take care of it, because it only gets worse, especially if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not eating a healthy diet. If you're eating overly processed foods, the sleep apnea is just going to compound and get worse and worse and worse. And you're going to get to the point where I was like severely sick for over a year and a half because I had so much sleep apnea. My cat's trying to break into my son's room because it's being a butthead. Hey, you guys want to check this out? All right. Hey, get back here. What are you doing? You're fine. Stop it. You're always such a whiny butt baby. And then this one here. Yeah. Okay. Fun times. I tell you what, I gotta love the live streams. Hey there, how you doing? Yeah, we're talking about carnivore and how carnivore has actually benefited me with all of my sleep apnea stuff. I mean, it's just amazing all the stuff that I have here. I mean, I got several CPAPs here. This is my current CPAP. This is a ResMed AirSense 10. Really good product. I like this. I would buy another one or maybe get the AirSense 11. Luna's also put out some pretty good products. This was a previous product I used. This is a Philips Respironic Dream Station. Wouldn't exactly recommend this to anybody because they got a lot of problems with their recall. I mean, the recall is just absolute nonsense. And then my original machine that I got, and I was desperate. I was paying cash for these because I didn't have insurance. So insurance, not having insurance, and it took so much time to actually get a prescription for these. I had to go out, figure out how to do it all by myself. And now I did that with the help of Nick from Australia of CPAP reviews. He was super helpful, you know, to help me set up these machines the best he could. I mean, he basically showed me how to get inside the machine, set up the settings, you know, to close to around where I needed it. And that's where I started experimenting. But when I first started with the CPAP, and my sleep apnea was just so horrendously bad, just putting the mask on my face was too much at times because my lungs were so weak. I was slowly dying from sleep apnea. So when I would put the mask on, it just felt like it was too warm. I couldn't use any humidity at first because if I had any humidity at all, it felt like I was just choking. And then I would put on the mask, and then I would have a weird sleep apnea that my machine couldn't keep up with. Either one of my two Philips machines, they couldn't keep up with those apneas. And then all of a sudden I was just like panicking and I was ripping the mask off my face. There was almost like a claustrophobic type experience, which is scary. It's scary all by itself. Meat and marriage. Hey, hello. Yeah, we're talking about the wonderful CPAP stuff I got going on here. I got a mask for every occasion. I actually have two big giant medical bags. These are just full of CPAP masks that I've had since I started on CPAP because, like I said, I was a cash paying customer. I had to figure out everything CPAP related, you know, through the internet. It was either through YouTube or Facebook community groups. And I tell you what, there is no one size fits all. Everything works for everybody. That's the problem. And then trying to get, you know, when you have dangerous CPAP, not dangerous CPAP, but dangerous sleep apnea, like in the really high level severity, you know, most of the, I believe most of the morbidly obese actors, the ones that passed away early, I think they died from sleep apnea. I can't prove that, but I have a pretty good idea that that's probably what happened, you know, because they go out and party, they're not taking care of themselves, they're drinking and they fall asleep. And then, you know, so you don't wake up sometimes because those apneas can last for a long time. You might not breathe for almost 60 to 90 seconds at a time before you start waking up and just choking yourself, gagging for air. They have humidity. Yeah, some of them do. Currently, I like using this one now without the humidity chamber. There is a humidity chamber that slides on the side. This is an extra option. I had to buy this. And basically all that does is it just moves the air. Instead of going into a humidity chamber and then out to me, it just moves the air in through here. And then the air comes out the backside of the machine right here. So, but this is just a blank and it just slips in there and clicks right in, maybe. There we go. But yeah, it's super simple, makes it compact. It uses less energy this way. And the reason I have this was I got it for emergencies because sometimes the humidity chambers leak. And that's what happened with me. So I went out and I used an HSA account to buy this. It wasn't very expensive, but it just slides right on in. So if you have a problem with your humidifier leaking, then you can just take it off and you can plug this in and you still have a device to get you through the night. And that's a lot of the things they don't teach you at the sleep clinics is how to be prepared, you know, because sometimes you're going to need filters and stuff like that. And the filter for this just happens to be over here. So you got to order some extra filters. You got to have extra bits and pieces. And I really emphasize you got to have a mask for every occasion, because if you get a cold, you get a flu, you're going to need a full face mask to get you through, especially if you got severe sleep apnea. You don't want to just jump off of your CPAP and not use it even though you have a cold, and it sucks. It sucks. Trust me. I had COVID. I was using my CPAP. I was coughing. I mean, it was a mess. It was not fun at all trying to use a CPAP device with COVID. But having COVID and using the CPAP seemed to help. And I had a time where we had severe COVID that ran through the entire house. It almost killed one of my daughters. We found her unresponsive on the floor one day, but we got her. She's all good. But it was a scary time. But everybody had COVID in the house. We weren't playing you need to stay isolated. You need to stay locked up in your room. We didn't play none of that. We're a family here. One gets sick, we all get sick. So my wife had COVID and she slept in the same bed with me. I didn't get COVID at all. And I think a lot of that had to do with the CPAP. The fact is that the air comes in this machine, comes in through here, and it's filtered, and then it's blowing directly in my face through a CPAP mask. And this is just a theory I have, but it seemed to work for me. So I wasn't blowing COVID all over the room because I didn't have COVID, but the air that was coming in here, it was being forced in my face, and it's vented out through these little vents here. You got a vent down here and you got a vent up here in the top of the mask. So I'm thinking that since my machine is over here and my wife is over that way, her COVID germs weren't like just in my face when she rolled over and faced me. So if anything, it was evacuating the COVID away from me in theory. So, but when she gets sick and I'm using my CPAP, I typically don't get her sickness unless I'm just, cuddling one of my daughters and they're sick. I might get sick, and that's without a CPAP mask. So, we got to consider those types of situations. Glad you guys are healed from COVID. Yeah, that was a while ago, but it was bad. It was like the second go around with COVID. So the big wave of COVID came through, got a lot of people here died, a lot of random people too. It was just weird. It played hopscotch. It was like a tornado in the Midwest, like it won't hit a church, but it'll wipe out a trailer park, but it'll leave the 3 trailers at the end of the row, just completely untouched. Just kind of weird how COVID came through here. I believe the person that bought my last house he passed away from COVID pretty quick right after he rebuilt it and finished it up. That was a pretty sad story, and it kind of made me not want to buy that home back again. So I just kind of ignored it. But seriously, the benefits of getting away from all of the overly processed foods, the seed oils and stuff like that, vegetable oils, corn oils, high fructose corn syrup, will dramatically improve your sleep apnea. In some cases, if it's not a weird sleep apnea where you got a deviated septum or there's something really wrong in the back of your throat, weight loss can fix the majority of those apnea events. At least it did for me. That's what I'm out here to talk about. Because the carnivore diet in itself is an ultimate elimination diet. It gets rid of all of the crap you find in the center aisles of the store. You're just buying meats. You're mainly eating meats and fats, and it just works. It works for me. It helps me maintain my weight. And yeah, I'm still a pretty heavy guy, but I'm losing inches. I'm losing weight. I'm gaining my mobility back. And that's the most important thing. Because when I first got a CPAP, these little things right here, I thought for sure, oh yeah, I'll finally start getting sleep and everything's going to improve, and I'll start going out and exercising more because now I can sleep better. Well, that's the furthest thing from the truth. It helps some people sometimes, but it didn't help me. I put too much faith in this device. It did give me a lot more sleep. I was better rested, but I wasn't changing the root cause of my problem, and that was what I was eating every day. I was eating crap food, overly processed food. I was still consuming high fructose corn syrup. I was eating French fries with the vegetable oils and the seed oils. That was compounding the problem. I was also an asthmatic, by the way. Because of the carnivore diet, I don't need my emergency inhaler anymore. It's just something I don't need anymore. I still carry it just in case, because that's what Alaskans do, is we carry around stuff just in case somebody needs it. So now I just pack it in my bag. If somebody else should start having an asthma attack and I can recognize that, I can just grab that inhaler and there you go. Hopefully help somebody out, especially when you're far away from the house and you got because asthma attacks are weird here because Alaska's got such dry air. I would have the majority of my asthma attacks up in Prudhoe Bay or Kapark oil fields when I was working on the North Slope. And we had to climb these straight upright ladders to get on top of these tanks that are about 20, 30 feet in the air. And that's a lot of physical work because they're little tiny rungs. They hurt your feet, they hurt your hands, and it's like 20 freaking below zero, and the wind's blowing. So by the time I would get to the top of the tank is usually when I would start having an asthma attack because the cold air would start restricting my neck and my airway. And so when I got back down to the bottom in a hurry, which it's kind of hard to get down those ladders in a hurry, I'd get back to my truck and I'd be sitting in my truck, and then the hot air from my truck was further restricting my throat. And I was using that silly inhaler, but the inhaler worked, but it just took a lot of time. So since all of that has improved, I don't need that inhaler anymore. And that's where the carnivore diet really works out for a lot of people. That's awesome. You don't need that anymore. Yes, thank you, Nadine. My neighbors had COVID. I did not because I did keto in that time. And I think a lot of, because I remember when the pandemic was going on, there was a lot of us that we thought that, we need to go buy zinc. We need to go buy, we thought we could prevent it with a magical pill or a vitamin or something like that. Well, we were thinking the wrong way. We weren't thinking about what we were consuming while COVID was all going on. Everybody's, dialing up Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and we were just bringing the junk food in. Well, we were just setting ourselves up for the perfect storm if COVID should have came through our house, because we were just, we were lowering our immune system by the crap food we were eating. And it was an interesting time. I mean, I used a lot of DoorDash. I had pizza deliveries constantly to the house because, after the first month or two, we found out it was safe to order pizza. It was safe to order out because we didn't know. I mean, we just didn't know. It was one of those things we were just told to stay away from one another, stay out of the stores, don't get around anybody. So everybody's already got high anxiety there. Some people didn't care. Some people overly cared, and it was a tough time to get through. And even here in Alaska, it was pretty strange. Let's see, Gamer Connection. I wake up, try and feel tired all day, and need a nap before dinner, and usually wake up with a headache. I love you, Gamer. Okay, you're bringing up some great topics for me to cover. Now, before I got treated with sleep apnea and started getting these devices and figuring all of this stuff out, I required about 3 naps a day. I mean, I'd get up, I'd come out here, I'd typically drink my coffee, I'd eat some food. And if I wasn't going to work right away, I'd be in bed. And then I was having major fatigue throughout the day when I was at work. I mean, sleep apnea can ruin you. And it also ruins you up here. It makes it so you're not thinking correctly, even when you are thinking correctly. And the same goes for unhealthy type eating. And this is why a lot of people are recommending a whole food type diet, because it gets you away from the overly processed foods, because there is a brain fog there. And when that brain fog goes away, it's like a holy awakening. I mean, it's almost like a religious experience. Carnivores experience this. People that are doing keto experience it. Vegans and vegetarians, they also experience it too. As long as they stay away from the seed oils and overly processed foods, we all seem to have that in common, as the brain fog goes away. And all of a sudden we have the ability to speak, because, I mean, we can talk, but you wouldn't have been able to make sense of anything I said about 6-7 months ago, before I started losing weight and before I started getting rid of all of the inflammatory products in the store. And basically what I try to do when I get out here is I just try to emphasize that for those people that just might be bumping through here. They're like, hey, what's this guy about? I mean, I talk about weight loss. I talk about losing weight. I talk about the dangers of the food supply here in the United States. Now, a lot of our foods, a lot of our food colorings, our seed oils, our high fructose corn syrup, it's illegal. That stuff is illegal in other countries, because we can see here with our own eyes every day when we go out of the house what's happening to these young kids, these young adults, these older adults that are still trying to figure it out. Now, there's a huge, giant community wrapped around carnivore right now. And a lot of us, we range in age of a similar age range. Like there was a huge awakening all at the same time in the last few years. People between 35 to up to 80 years old. It's like we all just woke up at the same time and we realized we weren't really living our life. we thought we were because we were eating whatever we wanted when we wanted. We were in pretty decent shape. And then after a while, things got out of control. We got all the way, like some of us got up to 435 pounds. I know others that have got up to 700 pounds. Some people got up over 700 pounds, and they're using carnivore and they're using a keto type plan to get back into better health. And some of them, their sleep apnea has improved dramatically, but a lot of other things have improved dramatically too as they're losing weight. They're also figuring out hidden problems that were hidden with obesity and inflammation, because inflammation messes you up in all kinds of different ways. I mean, since I started the carnivore diet, my hearing has improved. I used to have to wear hearing aids. So I don't know what is up there. Did I have inflammation in my ears? I used to have horrible earwax that would just clog up the ear ducts too. So that was part of my hearing loss. But even when my ears were clean, I still needed hearing aids, or I had to constantly say, "What'd you say? What'd you say?" My TV was up, 10 points higher than what it is now. So I couldn't, if I listened to it as loud as I used to listen to it, I can't even be in the same room. So I don't know how my family standed me, for that period of time. And a lot of times I didn't like watching TV because it was either too loud for my family, my kids, my wife. And if I did, I'd watch it while I was alone. And even hearing videos off my phone, I couldn't hardly hear anything. So hearing improves, eyesight improves. This is real eye-opening. Thanks for sharing. Well, I'm just out here to try to help. I don't mind embarrassing myself talking about these horrible things, because it's just, this stuff needs to be talked about more with people, because it's hard for them to realize. And I try to focus on the people that are already sugar addicted and stuff like that, and just hopefully maybe someday I can break through to at least one or two at a time. That's all I'm asking for every day when I get out here, is hopefully somebody might realize that, hey, well, I'm eating the wrong stuff. I'm eating overly processed food, and it's doing this to me. And maybe if I eliminate some of this stuff, I can see the improvements of this guy, because I couldn't talk. I was embarrassed to hit record. I was embarrassed to make a video. I didn't want to do anything here on YouTube. And this was actually the furthest thing that I imagined doing in my entire life, because when I planned on doing YouTube, I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to make these awesome videos about hunting or fishing or stuff like that. That's the stuff my wife is into. Well, it costs a lot of money to do videos like that. You need a little bit of financial backing and some funding. And I'm going to go get my kitty over here because it won't stop trying to break in my son's room. And we're just going to have to open that door, get that cat out of here, because it's just scratching and scratching and scratching away. But seriously, guys, CPAP alone helped get me to where I am now. So this was like part of the stepping stone of a little bit better health. And then learning how to do fasting was the second stage of trying to get back, to somewhat functional, because I was losing all my function. I was stuck in bed. I was having a hard time wiping my behind, taking a shower, stuff like that. Sleeping was incredibly painful. Sitting here at this table was incredibly painful. I couldn't hardly go for walks. And part of my my YouTube experience was making shopping videos. Now the shopping videos promoted my bad eating habits, and I was doing stuff around shortages and prepping and stuff like that. But I was buying a lot of overly processed foods while I was doing those videos. And then I was also eating the stuff. So my weight just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And everything just got really out of control. My sleep apnea got out of control. So I finally got that under control now with the help of carnivore and a keto type lifestyle. So that's working out really great. I mean, I don't drink coffee with creamer in it anymore. I just drink black coffee now, and I like it. And it takes a little while to get used to. I mean, you can do this, or you can do tea. If you put anything in here, I mean, you can put, I've been known to use coconut oil in my coffee. That tastes pretty good. A spoonful of coconut oil. It also helps move, some digestive issues out. That's one thing I've done. Spoonfuls of butter works really well in your coffee. Same thing. It helps move, some gut issues around. It's really helpful. Plus, it tastes pretty good. Cream, just regular cream. If you're going to put anything in your coffee, that's going to change the color. Regular cream's not too bad. Just stay away from the flavored stuff. If you can flip around your creamer and it's got more than cream in it in the ingredient list, you're starting to see soybean oil, you're starting to see sugar. That is a dangerous product. I mean, that will affect you in ways that you can't even explain. I mean, I could talk about just the creamer, the poison that's in a lot of these coffee creamers for hours on end, because there's just so much nasty stuff in there that's hurting us. It tastes great, by the way. I loved it. I mean, I used to wreck it up. I mean, me and the ex-wife used to go through like gallons of that stuff. We'd buy the big giant jugs. Even my current wife now, we used to go through it a lot. And the relatives that would come down from Nome, you know, they always come down, and the first thing they do is they go to the store and they buy that flavored coffee creamer. And lo and behold, that's a poison. It's slowly killing us. I mean, you might as well be eating margarine with a spoon. And we all should know by now that margarine is no good. And I'm surprised margarine is still on the shelves at the stores these days. Let's see. Hello, buddy. Hello, chat. KetoVore Journey. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're just talking about how basically carnivore saved my life, especially when it comes to sleep apnea related issues. We went over several of the CPAPs that I have here. So I got a ResMed AirSense 10. This is my current CPAP. I love this device. It works really well. The algorithm is perfect for me. Now, not everybody's going to have the same results with every CPAP, but this is light years ahead of this dinosaur. This thing was a dangerous product. I mean, I'm surprised any of these are still in existence. Philips has yet to replace this device. They've been a butthead about this one because it's a BiPAP. And they don't want to send me another BiPAP because BiPAPs are really expensive. But I paid for a BiPAP, so I want another BiPAP. What they want to do is send me one of their refurbished, these thingamajiggies. And this is not a BiPAP. This is just a regular APAP. So it's automatically adjusting. And, you know, I spent cash on these items. I should get back at least an item that's equivalent to what I have. And their argument is I don't have a prescription now for a BiPAP, so they can only send me one of these, which is crap. It's like, fine, refund me the full price of the BiPAP and we'll move on. But they won't do that because the full price of that silly machine there was about $1,600. So they're not going to go down that road because they're cheap. I mean, they're already in over their head when it comes to all this recall baloney, and they continue to screw it up. Phillips, you really messed up. Let's see. Carnivore Gamer, and sleeping on your back is best with CPAP. Okay, before CPAP, I could not sleep on my back. I was always a side sleeper because my apnea, I guess, was just that bad for so many years. I mean, there was never a time that I can remember, even going way back, where I could actually sleep on my back. So I was always on one side or the other. I was on my right side, and usually I have to put my arm up and I'm laying like this, you know, either on either side. And then my shoulder becomes slightly dislocated because of the way I'm sleeping, or if I'm sleeping real hard like that, my arm would fall asleep. I'd have a lot of circulation issues just because of the way I slept. But now, yes, I can sleep on my back with a CPAP, and my cats like it because my cats will lay down at my legs. So that makes it kind of nice for them. But yeah, that's something I could not do. And when I went back in for my most recent sleep study, they said the only time I was having any apnea events, was when I was laying on my back. So as soon as I rolled over to my side, he said, you know, the technician was like, yeah, they were gone. I mean, you were sleeping, you were done, they were good. He's like, I don't think you're gonna. He's like, I never once, because my last deep sleep study didn't require a CPAP because it went so well. So I'm hooked up to all these crazy looking probes. I look like a freaking alien. I do have a video about that. That experience, that was interesting. And I did talk a little bit about what was going on while I was in there in that video, but I did not ever have a CPAP put on. So what they do is the first time in there, they usually put you to bed just probed up all the way with all this goopy stuff all over your head. Plan on taking a shower before you leave there because that stuff sticks. And it's like, it's nasty, it's yucky stuff, but it doesn't stain anything. So that's good news, because the first time I went there, I didn't realize that stuff was so goopy, and I left and I had all of these little goop spots like all over the place, and I put my hat on, so I had goop in my hat, and I had to clean that out. That was embarrassing. But yeah, they hook you up to all these probes and you sleep for a period of time without a CPAP on because they're trying to record your apnea events, your oxygen levels, your titration. It's all kind of intertwined in all of that to actually see what kind of, because there's not just one cookie cutter type apnea. That's what makes sleep studies rather important and also rather complicated, because there's just so many aspects to sleep apnea. Some of it's situational. The majority of mine was situational sleep apnea and obstruction because I had such a big throat. And if I moved at all, I was literally suffocating myself just from basic head movements. And since I started carnivore, now I can turn my head all the way, either side. I could never ever turn my head that far. I mean, looking down, I can look straight down now. I can look up. It's just amazing the difference. The amount of mobility that we regain with the carnivore diet is another thing, because all of my joints, my neck, my shoulders, my elbows, my legs, my feet, everything hurt for a long time. It was bad. So once I got rid of all the inflammatory junk food that you typically find in the convenience stores and the center aisles, I mean, it just light years ahead. Everything was light years ahead. I just couldn't believe it. Yo, can I get a shout out? Gamer Hot Rod Jr. Yeah, you got your shout out there, man. Thanks for joining for a little bit. I appreciate you. But let's see, what was that? Industrial Knowledge. That one got retracted. I mean, the carnivore diet's a real thing, guys. I mean, it really works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be talking about it. I'm not a paid person to come out here and talk about sleep apnea issues or talk about carnivore diet or talk about keto. I'm not out here selling products. So there's got to be something more to it. I mean, it works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be doing it. It'd be like all the other nonsense I tried beforehand, all the gym memberships, all the, motivational clubs, the Facebook groups and stuff like that. But since I started doing carnivore, I have experienced so much, in the last several months. And I started carnivore in September. So I really haven't been doing it that long. It wasn't something that I just flipped the switch and said, hey, today I'm just going to be eating meat. It took a lot of time to get this far. I mean, I'm right around, let's see, about 98% carnivore, because I still use a little bit of seasoning, some garlic, some onions. I'm still realistic. And that's a lot of it. Now, when I first really started getting into it, I was only eating 90% meats and fats, and 10%, I didn't care what it was. And I had amazing benefits doing carnivore that way. And I found out there's a lot of people out here, in the universe of carnivore, especially the followers and stuff like that are in the community talking about carnivore. When they start talking about how they're doing it, yeah, they're right in there, 90% meats and fats, 10%, they're just doing them. That's how it should be, because I think a lot of these people complain about the carnivore police a lot. And I'm not even sure if it's other carnivores that are policing these carnivores. I think it might be, keto type people, or maybe vegan or vegetarian type people that aren't into eating meat. They just come in and they know it gets people stirred up. When people are morbidly obese and they're struggling emotionally with food all the time, like I was, when people said stuff like that, it kind of bothered me at first. And then I just had to push it away for a little bit and think about it. And I'm like, where is this person coming from? And if I could, I would research who the person was, if they had a YouTube channel or something like that, just to try to get a better perspective. We all do the same thing with Facebook. If somebody says something on Facebook in a community post, we're clicking on that person's icon. We're like, okay, let's see where this person's from. Like if they're saying something bad or stupid about Alaska, we click on their icon and we find out they're from Boston, Massachusetts. It's like, dude, you don't even live here in Alaska. What are you talking about? You don't know what's going on. And according to your feed, you've had no relationship with anybody in Alaska or even ventured this far. It's like, so your opinion stinks, go away. But yeah, that's kind of how we weed out the fun ones. But yeah, all right. Well, the thread's a little slow today. That's okay, but it is a Saturday, so I understand that. There's typically a lot of live streams going on Saturdays about all kinds of different topics. But yeah, I definitely wanted to get out here and express my opinions about how, carnivore, keto type diet, anything like that, just get away from the overly processed foods and you can dramatically improve your sleep apnea. Don't forget to like, guys. Yeah, if you could like the stream, that would be fantastic. It's not required. It definitely helps, circulate our stuff and hopefully help others, because that's my main goal, is to get out here and try to help others understand that losing weight doesn't have to be hard. Figuring out I think a lot of people can benefit just by getting rid of the overly processed foods, the stuff that creates inflammation, and improve their sleep. because I know over 100 carnivores that say they get better sleep now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the reduced inflammation. I mean, it's incredibly powerful. It's good stuff. And I'm probably just going to cut the stream there for now because I'm kind of running out of steam. It is Saturday. I do need to get out and buy some more meat. I ran out of my 80-20 beef patties, so I got to get on out to Costco. My wife's out doing Instacart right now, and I'm surprised the kids haven't bombed me with something random and the cats are being good. But all right, guys, I pray for you if you're suffering, if you're suffering from being morbidly obese, or you have sleep apnea issues, by all means, drop me a line. I got an email attached to the channel. You can always message me in the chat. We can talk from there. If you have any questions or just want to leave a comment, we always appreciate it. This is what this is all about. It's about the interaction. It's not about making money out here. It's not about just creating content. But yeah, we truly do want to help people. So God bless, and I'll pray for you. Bye, guys.